Hello guys, welcome back to our anime explainer. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of upcoming episode of Swallowed Star 2, Land of Origin based on novel. So let's start. Its body, vast like a boundless world, was entirely crimson, with flames ascending. It had a total of 8 pairs of enormous wings, and 4 gigantic hooves as if supporting the entire world. Its single enormous eye coldly gazed in Luo Feng's direction. Every movement it made seemed strenuous, because it was bound by numerous chains. These chains came from the void, penetrating every part of its body and soul, making it hard to resist. It looked towards Luo Feng, its eye filled with terrifying murderous intent. Luo Feng even saw the traces of its past on it, saw the marks of its growth, from a weak and insignificant catastrophe beast step by step becoming stronger, precisely the process experienced in the 3000 Void Calamity Beast diagram. Only the past traces seen at this moment were much more detailed than the 3000 Void Calamity Beast diagram, and much more terrifying and oppressive. This is an image of a catastrophe beast observed by a powerful being. Luo Feng somewhat understood that powerful existence was able to see the past space-time traces of a catastrophe beast. And he recorded this segment of observation, preserving it. If it were a weakling that saw the catastrophe beast, they would probably be mentally obliterated to death on the spot. Being able to see the traces of a catastrophe beast in past space-time, with a single glance, this ability was beyond Luo Feng's imagination. Even the emperor of the flame-wind ancient country was just observing the shadow of the catastrophe beast, creating one calamity beast diagram after another. The calamity beast diagrams were merely a part of the true catastrophe beast. The catastrophe beast, it is actually bound. Luo Feng was somewhat shocked. Those chains extending from the void clearly made it difficult for the catastrophe beast to escape. With my spiritual will of the second realm of Godly King, I can only observe the shadow of the catastrophe beast. The strength of the catastrophe beast is surely above the ultimate realm of Godly King. Such a being, yet still bound and trapped. While shocked, Luo Feng also instantly guessed. The existence that bound the catastrophe beast must be from the cultivator's side. After all, the shadow of the catastrophe beast was passed down to the flame-wind ancient country. Looking at the growth trajectory of the catastrophe beast, it should not be from the cultivator's side, Luo Feng thought. It should be a terrifying life form from outside the braided cage. Luo Feng had to admit it. Just by looking at the growth trajectory of the catastrophe beast, he couldn't help but admire it. Yet still, there were stronger existences capable of binding the catastrophe beast. Always keep a heart filled with respect and fear, Luo Feng silently advised himself. Like the catastrophe beast, even a terrifying being above the ultimate realm of Godly King is still bound. And I am just a mere walker in the primal chaos realm now. Luo Feng carefully remembered this segment of the image. After all, he had spent 100,000 merit points, just for one viewing, and the Inheritance Palace had given enough time. The original, 3000 Void Calamity Beast diagram was a painting, while this was a spacetime image, much more real and detailed. Luo Feng immersed himself in it, attentively viewing and experiencing. One must possess the heart of eternality to undergo the endless calamities. After careful observation, Luo Feng's understanding of the catastrophe beast's heart of eternality deepened. One can abandon everything, even one's own life, only with such a fearless mindset, and after undergoing nirvana and transformation time after time, can one reach this step. Luo Feng shook his head slightly, but because of this, it also abandons its once friends. It even devoured its friends that faced adversity together multiple times. Luo Feng saw much more detailed growth traces than the calamity beast diagram. By the final period, the catastrophe beast had become incredibly powerful, with several friends following it. Merely for the sake of being stronger, the catastrophe beast still broke through one by one, killing its friends and devouring them. It became more powerful. On the road of growth, it needed no companions, it only needed to be stronger itself. In the end, on some day, it was captured. It didn't even see who acted, with just a change in space-time, it was taken into a prison world, and chains from the void entangled its body. From then on, it could never escape. Is this the end for the catastrophe beast? Luo Feng looked on, somewhat sentimental, caught just by a change in space-time. Didn't even see who the opponent was. Its spiritual will is strong, but in the end, it's all about strength. Without enough strength, it also became a prisoner. This was also a wake-up call for Luo Feng. Defeating an enemy simply with spiritual will is too difficult. One needs both a significant advantage in spiritual will, and also in the secret technique of willpower. As his strength improves, the advantage of the Lai Yuan technique will become smaller and smaller. He was able to completely annihilate some beings of the primal chaos realm, partly because their spiritual will was much weaker than his, and partly because of the Lai Yuan technique. But for some of the ancient existences on the land of origin, the gap in the secret techniques of willpower they cultivated compared to Lai Yuan technique would narrow. Even the emperors of the Flame Wind ancient country and the monarchs of the Thunder ancient country have not been heard to have killed a godly king with willpower alone. Luo Feng understood this point. Spiritual will is ultimately one aspect of cultivation. The true foundation of cultivation is contemplating the great Tao. The viewing of the shadow of the catastrophe beast, on the one hand, firmed Luo Feng's dedication to the Tao, also understanding that there are no shortcuts in the cultivation of the Tao. The help from Lai Yuan technique will inevitably become weaker and weaker. On the other hand, it also made Luo Feng aware that there are heavens beyond heaven, and one should always keep a heart filled with respect and fear. As time passed, Luo Feng focused more on contemplating the great Tao. In the blink of an eye, Luo Feng had already been in Chu capital for 27 eras. In the secret space of the source ground of the primordial cosmos, Luo Feng's divine power incarnation directly faced the complete great Tao of life origin, able to see its 6 major branches of the great Tao of life at a glance. I have also cultivated the body of life lineage to the pinnacle of the primal chaos realm. Luo Feng looked at the great Tao of life origin in front of him. I've also collected 7 portions of perfect primal chaos layer creature materials. Yet I still haven't understood the Trinity form. The 8 tribulations life form, first calamity recorded 3 major branches: life spirituality, body of life, and origin of life. Among them, life spirituality and body of life had now both been raised to the pinnacle of the primal chaos realm. Before becoming a godly king, it was impossible to advance any further. After contemplating for so long and still not understanding, do I really have to become a godly king to comprehend the Trinity form? Luo Feng pondered, perhaps I can try taking a primordial crystal spirit fruit. Originally, Luo Feng planned to reach the pinnacle with all 5 main branches of his enlightenment before consuming primordial crystal spirit fruits, leveraging the remaining 4 primordial crystal spirit fruits to break through to the godly king tier. Now, merely 2 branches had reached the pinnacle of the primal chaos realm. According to what Master said, 5 fruits should be taken in the primal chaos realm, 5 in the first realm of godly king. Luo Feng thought, even if it's just to advance my transformation method to a higher level, consuming 1 fruit is worthwhile. Perfecting the transformation method could also deepen his understanding of the 2 branches. Luo He, come to my palace of Emperor Chu. Suddenly, Luo Feng's spiritual consciousness received a mental transmission from his master, Emperor Chu. My master, calling on me for the first time in over 2 decades. Luo Feng was somewhat surprised, and his true body naturally hurried to the palace of Emperor Chu. Asterisk 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 asterisk. Inside the palace of Emperor Chu, Emperor Chu sat cross-legged, his figure imposing, yet his eyebrows were slightly furrowed. The ancestor sent back a batch of resources. They are all for our own clan. Emperor Chu pondered. Not long ago, the 13 emperors of the flame-wind ancient country were summoned by the primogenitor Yang Feng, who bestowed upon them a large batch of resources. This batch of resources was divided into 13 parts, one for each of the imperial clan's 13 lineages. As instructed by the ancestor, these resources were naturally intended to cultivate their own clan members. The temperament of primogenitor Yang Feng was as such. He naturally cultivated his own clan members, while outsiders were usually recruited as guest elders. Guest elders had to work hard to earn merit points in exchange for benefits. As for cultivating disciples, whoever cultivates disciples supplies the resources. This time, the elite of the imperial clan will each receive a batch of resources. Emperor Chu thought, of my 3 disciples, the other 2 frequently visit me seeking guidance. But this disciple Luo Feng has not sought me out once in these 2 decades. Compared to the imperial clan elites, Emperor Chu was equally fond of his 3 direct disciples. He felt the imperial clan elites receiving resources meant he also ought to give some resources to his direct disciples. Master. At this moment, Luo Feng entered from outside the hall, bowing respectfully. Ever since you became my disciple, you haven't come to consult me once in over 2 decades. Emperor Chu looked at Luo Feng, no confusion about cultivation. Luo Feng respectfully replied, Master, I have some confusion regarding the great Tao of life origin. Emperor Chu's eyelids twitched slightly. Saw the novelfire.net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Great Tao of life origin. He didn't understand it. What about the great Tao of destruction origin? Are you making smooth progress in your enlightenment? Emperor Chu asked, an area he was proficient in. So far, it's been quite smooth, Luo Feng said. Although the extermination of 72 blades details the heaven-splitting lineage and dark heaven lineage, which are both merely top-tier in the primal chaos realm, the main issue is that they cannot directly face the complete origin Great Tao. Morosa, after all, was also only in the primal chaos realm. So progress was slower than that of the Great Tao of life origin. Emperor Chu nodded, then inquired, what's troubling you about the Great Tao of life origin? With a wave of his hand, Luo Feng brought forth a grey particle that split open, revealing a yin-yang fused dual particle inside. This is the most basic particle form of a perfect primal chaos layer creature, the Trinity form, Luo Feng explained. I have pondered much on this, but ultimately I couldn't gain full understanding. Emperor Chu looked at it and felt a headache coming on. He was wholeheartedly cultivating the great Tao of destruction origin, and though he had a little understanding of the origin Tao of matter, causality, and space, it was merely equivalent to the level of an average godly king. As for the great Tao of life origin, indeed, he didn't understand it. I'm very confused, Luo Feng said. Having spent the majority of these 2 decades focused on it, I seek your guidance, Master. The Trinity form. It's a relatively superficial bodily structure, said Emperor Chu, while quickly pondering the question, given the speed of thought an emperor possessed. Whoosh! Suddenly, Emperor Chu waved his hand and a golden scale beetle's corpse appeared in the hall. This is the body of a primal chaos realm creature. Its structure is the more advanced 10 directions world form than the Trinity form. With its body, it can fight against godly kings across levels. Study the 10 directions world form carefully, and perhaps by looking back and studying the simpler Trinity form, you will understand it fully. Luo Feng stared at the golden scale beetle's corpse before him in astonishment. The aura of the corpse was powerful. This corpse? Luo Feng was puzzled, as he had never heard of such a creature before. The Thunder Primogenitor is dedicated to studying various primordial bloodlines, This is one of the special creatures he has cultivated, Emperor Chu explained. Go back and study it. Once you gain a deeper understanding, consuming the primordial crystal spirit fruit may enable you to grasp the Trinity form in one go. I understand, Luo Feng acknowledged, immediately taking the corpse with him. Off you go, Emperor Chu waved his hand. Luo Feng respectfully took his leave. I had planned to give him a portion of resources, but this golden scale beetle corpse, valued at 1,000,000 merit points, can also be considered his share of resources. Emperor Chu felt satisfied, not wanting to shortchange his own disciple. Luo Feng left the palace of Emperor Chu and returned to his own cave mansion, where he entered the Star Tower to study the newly acquired corpse of the golden scale beetle. A massive scale beetle corpse lay in this layer of the Star Tower's space, and Luo Feng looked up at the colossal creature. According to what Master said, the ancestor of the Thunder ancient country was dedicated to researching various primordial bloodlines, and this is one of the special creatures cultivated by the ancestor. Luo Feng carefully examined the scale beetle. From the many inheritances and resource information in the Inheritance Palace, Luo Feng had a preliminary understanding. The vast world governed by supreme rules is like a giant braided cage. Places such as the Land of Origin and the 3,000 primordial cosmoses are all within a complete braided cage. Outside of the braided cage, where there is primordial force and primordial materials are produced, the creatures born in that space possess primordial bloodlines. The upper echelons of the imperial clan of the Thunder ancient country, the vast majority cultivate with the help of primordial bloodlines. Saw the novel, F.I.nt website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. This is a primal chaos realm creature, yet it possesses a 10 directions world form that is more profound than the Trinity form. Luo Feng extended a finger, and a thread of silver silk flew from the tip of his finger, entering the golden scale beetle's mouth and quickly siphoning a drop of blood. Luo Feng began to dissect this drop of golden blood. It's already dead, and yet the blood is still so stable. Luo Feng's fingers, edged with sharpness, sliced the blood into particles. This golden scale beetle, each particle contains powerful spirituality, indeed stronger than a perfect primal chaos layer creature. No wonder it can fight against a godly king without being at a disadvantage. Snap! As a golden particle was dissected, 9 smaller particles appeared inside. These 9 smaller particles were divided into 3 parts, with each part consisting of 3 merged particles. The 3 parts maintained a certain distance, rotating slowly but steadily. Could it be this kind of 10 directions world form? Luo Feng was astonished as he watched. The 10 directions world form recorded in the first calamity of the 8 tribulations life form, within the body of life lineage, is divided into 7 types, and this one before me is indeed among them. The description in the inheritance wasn't as good as witnessing it with one's own eyes. One large particle contained 9 smaller particles. Every 3 of the 9 smaller particles merged into one group, and the 3 groups were forever rotating and chasing each other, yet they never touched. Even with Luo Feng's comprehension, at the pinnacle of the primal chaos realm, within the body of life lineage, he found value in studying such a form. Wonderful, wonderful, truly wonderful. Luo Feng watched excitedly. These 3 particles merge perfectly, also forming a Trinity form. The Trinity form also has many variants. Perfect primal chaos layer creatures consist of one large particle, with internal yin and yang particles forming the Trinity form. Whereas the fundamental construct of the golden scale beetle's 10 directions world form also has 3 particles fused together, representing a type of Trinity form. 2 different Trinity forms. Luo Feng observed carefully, cutting open to watch as the collapsing Trinity form revealed countless solidifying primal chaos secret patterns. The Trinity form can also form a cyclical system with each other. Luo Feng diligently studied the underlying mysteries, his understanding of the Trinity form improving. During his time in Chu capital, Luo Feng received top-notch inheritances and precious resources, naturally immersing himself wholeheartedly in cultivation. He couldn't be bothered to get involved in the various disputes of Chu capital. What? Marquis Chu Ji and Marquis Chu Yuan were originally drinking and chatting leisurely when they simultaneously received a mission issued by the imperial clan, shocking them as they received it. Heavenly level. Marquis Chu Yuan's ugly features twisted even more, his eyes bulging. A heavenly task. Marquis Chu Ji was also somewhat dazed. Being of the imperial clan, the highest level of tasks they had access to were normally emperor level. However, every once in over 1,000 eras and even tens of thousands of eras, there would occasionally be a higher earthly task. And over even longer periods, spanning hundreds of thousands of eras or more, there would occasionally be a heavenly task. A heavenly task was also the highest level of tasks that a first-class marquis of the imperial clan could encounter in their lifetime. This task was issued specifically for the members of the imperial clan. Guest elders did not qualify to receive it. To think there would be a heavenly task. Marquis Chu Yuan and Marquis Chu Ji looked at each other. Big brother, Marquis Chu Yuan said with fervent eyes, if we rank high in completing this heavenly task, the resource rewards we'll receive will be substantial, truly terrifying. We must prepare well for this task, Marquis Chu Ji said, his voice tinged with madness at the moment. That day, all the emperor-level and first-class marquises of the flame-wind ancient country's imperial clan received the heavenly task. It all started when the primogenitor Yang Feng sent back a batch of precious resources, and according to the rules of the imperial clan, the 13 emperors and those in the second realm of Godly King were allocated a certain amount of resources according to their status, with no need for competition. But for those in the first realm of Godly King and the first-class marquises, competition was fierce. The outstanding ones would receive more. The mediocre would receive less. Within the mysteries of a virtual world palace, thoughts converged. Flame-wind ancient country has obtained a batch of rather precious resources, heavenly level resources. The godly kings of the first realm and first-class marquises of the flame-wind ancient country's imperial clan all have to compete. The distribution of resources will be based on ranking. They will need assistance in competing. We can help. If those godly kings of the first realm and the first-class marquises voluntarily give us a portion of the resources they obtain, the 13 emperors of the flame-wind ancient country won't be able to stop them. Helping out and taking a small reward in return is perfectly justifiable. The land of origin had many ancient existences that had long been coveting the two great ancient countries. The resources of the two great ancient countries were so vast that the primogenitor Yang Feng and the primogenitor of the Thunder ancient country, having obtained a huge amount of resources they themselves did not need, left a great deal for their own people. In terms of talent and potential, the elite cultivators selected from the countless cultivators of the entire land of origin definitely surpass the imperial clan of the two great ancient countries. But it's just by virtue of cultivating with an enormous amount of precious resources, they toughly raised 13 emperors of the flame-wind ancient country and 9 monarchs of the Thunder ancient country. In terms of resources, what we use doesn't even come close to 1/10,000th of those emperors and monarchs. Serving as guest elders, we toil and accumulate tens of millions of merit points, but that's still far from being enough for one ultimate realm inheritance. The ultimate realm inheritances of the two great ancient countries start at 30 million merit points each. Those exorbitantly priced primordial bloodline inheritances, or those cultivated with the assistance of primordial force, are even more expensive, costing upward of hundreds of millions of merit points. And there are many resources that are simply not available for exchange. These ancient existences were very envious. To serve as guest elders to the two great ancient countries, fighting to the death, and to exchange for an inheritance was very difficult. Whereas the imperial clan of the two great ancient countries could casually choose inheritances, and had piles of various precious resources. These ancient existences, though clearly very strong, did not dare to rob openly. They could only use some legitimate means to make the imperial clan willingly give them some. Fortunately, there is Yuan, who has given us, wanderer cultivators, the same competitive opportunity as the imperial clan. Otherwise, we would never emerge victorious. Without Master Yuan, the two great ancient countries would only exploit us more. After these ancient existences chatted for a while and exchanged intelligence, they dispersed. Luo Feng exited his cultivation retreat to welcome the visiting Emperor Chu Yu. Brother Chu Yu, what's the matter? You seem to be in a hurry, Luo Feng asked with a smile. Generally, a message would suffice, but this time Emperor Chu Yu insisted on a face-to-face conversation. My flame-wind ancient country's imperial clan has issued a heavenly task. Are you aware? Emperor Chu Yu inquired. Heavenly task. Luo Feng was somewhat surprised. With his status, he also had access to some common high-level intelligence of the land of origin, and naturally knew that the highest-level task for the marquises of the imperial clan was the heavenly task, which afforded the most terrifying resources. At that moment, Luo Feng did not yet know that when his master, Emperor Chu, obtained that batch of significant resources, he had summoned him first. Possibly every few 100,000 eras, there comes a heavenly task. Emperor Chu Yu said a bit anxiously, I've only recently become a first-class marquis, and I encountered a heavenly task. Alas! Among the 7 first-class marquises of Emperor Chu's lineage, my strength is the weakest, and this competition is very troublesome. Very troublesome. Luo Feng looked at him. The heavenly task is divided into 3 subtasks, Emperor Chu Yu explained. The first 2 subtasks are personal tasks that I must undertake on my own. Only for the third subtask can I seek external assistance. Luo Feng nodded in understanding. 2 subtasks depended on oneself. The weakest, Emperor Chu Yu, indeed suffered a disadvantage. If this heavenly task had been delayed by 100 eras, I would have reached the pinnacle of primal chaos realm, Emperor Chu Yu said, also somewhat helplessly. Even with the assistance of a plethora of resources for cultivation, there was still some distance to the pinnacle of the primal chaos realm. No matter what, you have to fight for it. If you miss this time, who knows when the next heavenly task will be, Luo Feng said. Among the 3 subtasks, one is the battle for the blood spirit golden pearl, Emperor Chu Yu stated. For this task, I can only trouble brother Luo He, as only your strength holds hope for competing for it. Luo Feng understood. In the entire land of origin, the blood spirit golden pearl was produced only in one place, located at the border area between the 2 great ancient countries. Don't worry, Luo Feng nodded. As long as brother Luo He helps me complete this task, for other tasks later on, I won't trouble brother Luo He anymore, Emperor Chu Yu stated. As long as this heavenly task was completed well enough, and he secured enough resources. Even if he lay idle for tens of thousands of eras afterward, it wouldn't matter. Luo Feng smiled and said, Brother Chu Yu, rest assured, I will give it my all for this task. It was because of him that Luo Feng had come to Chu capital to serve as a guest elder, and had been taken in as a direct disciple by Emperor Chu, earning merits for Emperor Chu Yu. Merely for this relationship, Luo Feng also needed to help earnestly. Remember, after the blood spirit golden pearl is born, it must be delivered back to Chu capital within 10 days, for after 10 days, the blood spirit golden pearl will become a blood spirit poison pearl, and won't count towards the task's merits, Emperor Chu stated. Luo Feng nodded. There are 7 first-class marquises from Emperor Chu's imperial clan lineage, Emperor Chu Yu continued, although I'm the weakest in strength, I've already reached the top tier of the primal chaos realm. Moreover, my 2 personal tasks are also tests of comprehension, temperament, and many other aspects, so I'm not necessarily the bottom ranker. As for the battle for the Blood Spirit Golden Pearl, among the 7 first-class marquises, not many can obtain the assistance of those transcendent from the primal chaos realm. I estimate I could fight for the 3rd or 4th place, Emperor Chu Yu said. 7 first-class marquises. From the 1st to the 7th place, the resources allocated were vastly different. If he could fight for a middle position, Emperor Chu Yu would be very satisfied. Leave the Blood Spirit Golden Pearl task to me, Luo Feng said, obviously unsure about Emperor Chu Yu's final ranking. Who knew how Emperor Chu Yu would fare on his own 2 personal tasks? Here is the detailed information about the Blood Spirit Golden Pearl task. I'll send it to you. Emperor Chu Yu sent it over immediately. Luo Feng received the task and immediately reviewed it. Now was the preparation period for the task, and in 1,000 days, the heavenly task would officially begin. The whole heavenly task would last 1 era. After 1 era, the overall ranking would be calculated. This video will end here.